Operation in Syria, 2011, present. In the heart of the Middle East, where sectarian violence and geopolitical ambitions collided in a brutal civil war, Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, launched a meticulously orchestrated operation to preserve Bashar al-Assad's regime in Syria and cement Tehran's influence across the region. Since 2011, the IRGC's involvement in Syria has transformed the country into a strategic stronghold for Iran, enabling Tehran to extend its reach from the Persian Gulf to the Mediterranean. For the IRGC, the Syrian operation was not merely about protecting an ally. It was a cornerstone of Iran's axis of resistance, a bid to reshape the regional order, and a masterclass in asymmetric warfare that would leave an indelible mark on the region. When peaceful protests erupted in March 2011 as part of the Arab Spring, the Assad regime's brutal crackdown ignited a civil war that quickly spiraled out of control. As the conflict deepened and Assad's grip on power weakened, Iran saw the writing on the wall. The collapse of the Assad regime would deal a devastating blow to Tehran's regional ambitions, severing Iran's supply lines to Hezbollah in Lebanon and undermining its ability to project power in the Levant. The IRGC, tasked with safeguarding Iran's strategic interests, moved swiftly to prevent such an outcome. From the outset, the IRGC's strategy was clear: prop up the Assad regime at any cost and prevent Syria from falling into the hands of Western-backed rebels and Sunni jihadists. General Qasem Soleimani, the charismatic and ruthless commander of the IRGC's Quds force, took personal charge of Iran's Syrian campaign, overseeing every aspect of the operation with meticulous precision. Under Soleimani's leadership, the IRGC devised a multi-pronged strategy that combined direct military intervention, proxy warfare, sectarian mobilization, and demographic engineering to secure Iran's long-term objectives in Syria. Deployment of IRGC forces and proxy militias. The first phase of the IRGC's operation involved deploying elite Iranian forces to Syria, including Quds Force operatives, IRGC ground troops, and intelligence officers. Iranian military advisors embedded themselves within the Syrian Arab Army, SAA, providing tactical guidance, logistical support, and battlefield intelligence. The IRGC established command and control centers in Damascus and other key cities, ensuring that Iranian influence permeated every level of Syria's security apparatus. But the IRGC's strategy was not limited to direct Iranian involvement. Recognizing the need for a larger and more diverse fighting force, the IRGC mobilized a vast network of Shia militias from across the region, transforming the Syrian battlefield into a crucible of sectarian warfare. The Fatimiyun Division, Afghan Shia fighters; the Zainabiyun Brigade, Pakistani Shia fighters; and Iraqi Shia militias such as Kataib Hezbollah, Asaib Ahl al-Haq, and the Badr organization were deployed en masse to Syria, fighting alongside Assad's forces and turning the tide of the war in his favor. The IRGC's ability to mobilize tens of thousands of battle-hardened Shia fighters gave the Assad regime a critical advantage on the battlefield, allowing it to reclaim territory lost to the rebels and jihadist groups. Iranian-backed militias became the backbone of Assad's military strategy, conducting offensives in key cities such as Aleppo, Homs, and Deir ez-Zor, while maintaining a firm grip on Damascus and the strategically vital Sayyida Zainab Shrine, a revered Shia site that served as a rallying point for Shia fighters. Sectarian mobilization and demographic engineering. The IRGC's operation in Syria was not just about military victories. It was about reshaping the demographic and sectarian landscape of the country to serve Iran's long-term interests. The IRGC orchestrated a campaign of sectarian cleansing and demographic engineering, forcibly displacing Sunni populations from key areas and replacing them with loyal Shia families from Lebanon, Iraq, and Iran. The goal was to create a Shia corridor, stretching from Tehran to Beirut, ensuring a contiguous zone of Iranian influence that could serve as a bulwark against Sunni adversaries. In towns and cities recaptured by Assad's forces, the IRGC facilitated the resettlement of Shia communities, establishing a loyal population base that would serve as a buffer against future uprisings. Iranian-funded religious institutions and cultural centers sprang up across Syria, indoctrinating local populations with Tehran's revolutionary ideology and cementing Iran's ideological and political influence in the region. The Battle for Aleppo, a turning point. The turning point in Iran's Syrian operation came in 2016 during the Battle for Aleppo, a brutal and protracted siege that saw IRGC-backed forces, including Hezbollah and Iraqi Shia militias, encircle and crush rebel strongholds in the city. The battle was a defining moment in the Syrian war, and the IRGC played a pivotal role in orchestrating the victory. General Soleimani personally oversaw the Aleppo campaign, coordinating Iranian, Syrian, and Russian forces to ensure a decisive outcome. The fall of Aleppo was not just a military victory, it was a strategic triumph that cemented Iran's dominance in Syria and signaled to the world that the Assad regime, with Iranian backing, was here to stay. The IRGC's ability to marshal a coalition of Shia militias, leverage Russian air power, and execute a coordinated ground offensive demonstrated Tehran's mastery of asymmetric warfare and its ability to reshape the battlefield in its favor. Iran's use of Hezbollah and other proxies. While the IRGC's own forces played a crucial role in Syria, Iran's most powerful and loyal proxy, Hezbollah, emerged as a linchpin of Tehran's Syrian strategy. Hezbollah's battle-hardened fighters, seasoned by years of conflict with Israel, became a critical asset on the Syrian battlefield. The IRGC deployed thousands of Hezbollah fighters to key fronts, where they provided invaluable combat experience and expertise. Hezbollah's role in Syria extended beyond the battlefield. The group acted as Iran's enforcer, ensuring that Tehran's interests were protected and that Assad's regime remained firmly aligned with Iranian objectives. Hezbollah also facilitated the smuggling of weapons, ammunition, and supplies from Iran to Syria, ensuring that Assad's forces were well equipped to confront their adversaries. The IRGC's expansion of military infrastructure. As the Syrian conflict dragged on, the IRGC transformed Syria into an extension of Iran's military infrastructure, establishing a network of military bases, weapons depots, and command centers across the country. Iran's presence extended from the Golan Heights near Israel's borders to key air bases in Tias, T4, and Al-Kiswa near Damascus. These bases served as launching pads for Iranian missile systems and a forward operating base for IRGC and Hezbollah operatives. Iran's efforts to establish a permanent military presence in Syria drew the ire of Israel, which viewed Iran's growing footprint as an existential threat. Israeli warplanes repeatedly targeted Iranian positions in Syria, launching airstrikes on weapons convoys, missile depots, and Iranian command centers. Despite these attacks, the IRGC's military infrastructure in Syria remained intact, allowing Tehran to maintain a formidable presence on Israel's doorstep. Economic and political influence. Beyond the battlefield, the IRGC also sought to entrench Iran's economic and political influence in Syria. Tehran secured lucrative reconstruction contracts, gained control over key industries, and established a foothold in Syria's energy sector. Iranian companies took control of Syria's phosphate mines and oil fields, ensuring that Tehran would reap the economic benefits of its investment in Assad's survival. Politically, Iran positioned itself as an indispensable ally of the Assad regime, embedding Iranian advisors within Syria's security and intelligence apparatus. The IRGC ensured that Iran's influence extended beyond the military domain, shaping Syria's post-war governance and embedding Iranian loyalists in key positions of power. The legacy of the IRGC's operation in Syria. By 2021, the IRGC's operation in Syria had achieved its primary objectives. The Assad regime had survived. Iran had secured a strategic foothold in the Levant, and the IRGC had built a formidable network of proxy forces capable of projecting power across the region. Syria had become a critical link in Iran's Shia Crescent, a land bridge connecting Tehran to Beirut and the Mediterranean, allowing Iran to threaten Israel, deter U.S. forces, and project influence deep into the heart of the Arab world. For the IRGC, the operation in Syria was not just a victory on the battlefield. It was a validation of Iran's doctrine of asymmetric warfare and its ability to reshape the geopolitical landscape of the Middle East. Through a combination of military intervention, proxy warfare, sectarian mobilization, and economic entrenchment, the IRGC had transformed Syria into a platform for Iranian power, ensuring that Tehran's influence would endure long after the guns fell silent. But the legacy of the IRGC's operation in Syria extended beyond Iran's strategic gains. The war had turned Syria into a sectarian battlefield, deepened Sunni Shia divisions, and left a trail of devastation that would take generations to repair. The IRGC's intervention had preserved Assad's rule, but at a staggering cost, one that would continue to haunt the region for years to come. For the IRGC, however, the price was worth paying. Syria was now an integral part of Iran's regional strategy, and Tehran's grip on the Levant was stronger than ever.